Business Value Podcast. This podcast is brought to you by Mastery Partners, where our mission is to equip business owners to maximize business value so they can transition their business on their terms. Our mission was born from the lessons we've learned from over 100 business transactions, which fuels our desire to share our experiences and wisdom so you can succeed. Now here's your host, CEO of Mastery Partners, Tom Bronson.
Hi, it's me again, Tom Bronson, and welcome to Maximize Business Value, a podcast for business owners who are passionate about building long-term sustainable value in your business. Every business on the planet will eventually transition. I know you've heard that before. Wouldn't it be better to transition your business by design rather than default if something happens? So if you're a business owner who wants to maximize the value of your business and eventually exit your business, you're in the right place. This episode is part of our series from my latest book, Maximize Business Value Playbook, 65 Specific Actions to Dramatically Increase the Value of Your Business. Today, we're on Chapter 7, Get Your Financial Statements Audited. Now, let me just tell you, this one's probably going to be a little bit more controversial than the others because in modern times, an audit will help, of course, the larger your business, but you might also think about some other alternatives. I'll get to that in just a second. One of the many mistakes I've made in my businesses was failing to have our financials audited until we were large and complex. The process, let me just tell you, was a beating. It was like getting a root canal over and over every day for like 180 days. It was a disaster. We had to create records that didn't exist in our business. Our first audit was far more complicated, time-consuming, and expensive than it needed to be. It does not have to be that difficult. Now, like us, many business owners think that audited financial statements is something that only big companies do. An independent audit verifies that your financial statements are correct, which will be soundproof for buyers when it's time to transition. Now, business owners should think about getting an audit long before it's time to have a transition because typically, the smaller you are, the easier the audit and the lower the cost. It is surprisingly affordable to get an audit from one of the smaller regional CPA firms. An audit forces the business into better financial management practices, which helps improve enterprise value. It does not matter what type of transition is desired, since audits are helpful for internal as well as external transitions. And there are certain types of transitions that require an audit. And as we've also said, 100% of all businesses will eventually transition. Some transitions, particularly sales to a third party or an ESOP, an employee stock ownership plan, will require an audit for the previous 3 years. Whoever takes over the business next needs to ensure that the reporting is accurate, and an audit can provide that proof. Now, there are some other things that you can do too. Now, an audit, a regular and routine annual audit, will make it easier to do other things. But you might also consider, if you're a sizable business or you have sizable recurring revenue, having a quality of earnings statement created, which is like an audit, but it just really evaluates a deeper dive, evaluating the revenue associated with the business. And there's more on that in one of our podcasts on Q of E, quality of earnings. But having an audit makes it easier to do a quality of earnings. Depending on the size of your business, once you're over 20, 25 million in revenue, a buyer is probably going to do a quality of earnings statement. And I'm a big fan of doing a preemptive one so that we know what's going to be found out during a Q of E audit. And if you do one in advance, many times the buyer will accept that after their accounting firm reviews it with your accounting firm. Yes, it's fairly expensive to get one of those. Doesn't have to be, depending on the size of the business. And if you've done an audit, it'll be a lot easier to do one and less expensive. But it might be well worth the investment of that time and energy, especially if you're a business over 100 million in revenue. So here are maximize business value recommendations on this chapter. Number one, talk to 2 or 3 accounting firms and get a proposal for doing an audit. Doesn't cost you anything to get a proposal. Talk to your accounting firm and then other folks that do that. Not all accounting firms actually do audits. Some of the smaller shops say, yeah, we just don't have the bandwidth to do it. And by the way, there is currently a massive shortage of CPAs out there. And so fewer firms are doing that kind of extra work. But get a couple of quotes, find somebody that specializes in that and see what they would charge you for that. Number two, be sure to understand the process and eventual cost, even if you decide to wait, right? By getting that quote, you'll be able to understand what the future costs might be. And number three, visit our website and click on the free stuff section and search our podcast with the keyword audit for the episode titled Why It Pays to Get an Audit. And we walk through all of that information right there. It was a great interview. And so go listen to that particular podcast if you want to know more about an audit. This, of course, is the Maximize Business Value podcast, where we give practical advice to business owners on how to build long-term sustainable value in your business. If this is your first Maximize Business Value podcast that you've listened to, there are more than 160 episodes crammed with valuable information just waiting for you to download them either on our website or wherever you found this podcast. Go get a few of them today. Until next time, this is Tom Bronson, and I'm reminding you to pick one thing. Pick one thing this week to dramatically improve the value of your business and do it today while you maximize business value.
Thank you for tuning into the Maximize Business Value podcast with Tom Bronson. This podcast is brought to you by Mastery Partners, where our mission is to equip business owners to maximize business value so they can transition on their terms. Learn more on how to build long-term sustainable business value and get free value-building tools by visiting our website, www.masterypartners.com. That's master with a Y, masterypartners.com. Check it out.
That was perfect. I wouldn't make any changes on that.